Hey, this is Emily at Oz Inflatable Kayaks, and in this video we're going to look at our range of one-person inflatable kayaks, and I'm going to help you choose. It's quite a large range, so we want to be able to quickly narrow it down, and we've got this awesome filter system here. This filter system is not filtering on features of the kayak, it's all about you. So even if you don't know anything about kayaks, you've never paddled in your life, we'll be able to narrow down this range for you. If you're on mobile, the filter button is here. It's all the same filters that appear on desktop. When you've made your selections, you can just click on show results, and to get out of the filter, you just use the cross up the top here. Okay, now first thing we have here is kayak weight. If you've watched any of my videos, you know I'm all about getting the lightest kayak that meets your needs, but I wouldn't rush and jump in and slide this right down to sort of the 8 kilogram mark here. The ultralight's a great kayak, but it doesn't meet a lot of people's needs. It's not a super fast kayak like some of our others. So what I would actually do is do all of this stuff, which is about your use, is this kayak fit for purpose? And then we'll go back and look at the weight of the kayak and try to get you into the lightest one. So the first thing is, does it fit? We've got heaviest paddler here. If you're below 80 kilograms, they'll all fit. We've got tallest paddler here. If you're below 183 centimeters, they'll all fit. Now, this is really tricky for us. So heaviest paddler is just rigidity, right? At what point does the kayak start to sag where you're sitting, in which case the bow and the stern shaping, which are these really important bits here, are no longer in the water and doing their job. So that's about rigidity. And there is some room to move there, and it is based on our opinion and our experience. It's not like set in stone. Tallest paddler is much harder for us, basically because you can imagine you can have two people that are 6'2", and one can have really long legs and one can have really short legs. And so one will fit in a kayak and one won't. So again, grain of salt. If you know you have long legs, you want to err on the side of caution here. And sometimes with this, it's not actually about fitting. So for example, the Quest Solo is very long inside. You can move that seat right back and you could be very, very tall and fit. But the balance of the kayak will start to tip back. And then your bow shaping here is out of the water and you're waggling all over the place. So sometimes this is our advice on how to get the right balance in the kayak rather than a very strict kind of number. So you got those two. Max trip. Oh, I will mention the cockpits too. Sometimes like these two, the Refuge Nevo, the Oru Bay, and even the Oru Coast, they are actually very long inside, but if you're very tall, it's difficult to tuck yourself into the cockpit because you cannot undo the cockpit on these like you can with these. See these zippers here? You can just unzip them to flop yourself in if you want. So just a heads up, you got to watch out for that too. So assuming you fit, then you want to look at the max trip length you're going to do. So you can imagine that the performance of the kayak to be able to do a full day paddling is going to be much better than the performance doing 1 to 2 hours. 1 to 2 hours, we don't really care how much it's waggling. We don't really care how fast it's going. We don't really care how much wind effect it gets. And we don't really care about the seat. But what we do with all of our kayaks is take them out for long periods. We chuck in kids and dogs. We do some fishing. And we take them out in bad condition so that we can make this judgment for you. So anything full day or multi-day has really good tracking, even in wind. So all kayaks get slowed down by wind, right? That's a function of physics, I guess. But to me, the important thing is, does the bow keep it going straight or does it turn? So to keep correcting on one side is like, for me, just a horrific scenario. I don't mind being slowed down against wind and tide, but I want to be able to go straight. So it counters all of that. Does the seat have, good stiff back? Do you have padding under your bum if you need it? Do you have good adjustability and lumbar support in the seat? All of that stuff kind of matters for max trip length. So for me, this is one of the most important features. Multi-day is more about, can you load it up with gear, capacity, and space. Open water. So not a lot of people ask for open ocean, but the manufacturers do give us guidelines, and it's mostly about swamping waves. So what happens if waves start breaking over your kayak? And there's a couple of ways this can be dealt with, I guess. With these ones, for example, it's by putting a spray skirt on and keeping the water out. And then with the straight edge, for example, it's about being self-bailing. So it's the straight edge actually has ports down each side, and when water comes in, it drains out through those ports. Now that, of course, means that water comes up through the ports, but the idea is it's a sit on top. You're kind of sitting on top of the water. You're going to get wet, and the performance is not as good as the sit-ins, but it is an option for you. Bear in mind that for like the Kokopelli Plat, for example, that is actually a self-bailing sit on top, but the manufacturer has said, no, we don't recommend this for open water. So there are a few quirks with open water. Taking a dog and taking small kids, this is primarily, they're very similar filters. They're both looking for stability. The difference is taking a dog also is looking for durability, for doggy claws. So all these kayaks are quite stable. What you need to assess is whether you're going to fit. So the 285 is quite small. You wouldn't want a very large dog. Same with the Sport Elite. You wouldn't want a very large dog in there or a very large kid in there with a very large person. You're just not going to fit. Some of these are huge, like the iAttack, plenty of space. You could fit a couple of kids probably in that one. No problem there. And so that's really something we can certainly guide you if you want to give us a call, but it's something you kind of need common sense for. It's not something we could easily put into a filter. Speaking of that size thing, be careful of the internal width as well. Something like the Kokopelli Plat, really nice kayak to paddle, but it's only 40 centimeters internally. You've got to be a very narrow bummed person to fit in that one. Most of them are pretty okay for most people though. And then you might go back to kayak weight and go, look, I really can't have a 22 kilogram kayak. That's ridiculous. A good weight to look at for solos is actually kind of like 15 kilograms. You get a lot of really decent kayaks around 15. Actually, it must be just over 15. Where do you get that one? It must be 16. Yeah, there we go. So 16, you get a really good range of kayaks and it's liftable for most people. But again, that's going to be personal. Now, let's say I'll do me. So my filters are, I want a full day. I'm not going out. I'm always taking kids. Actually, that's not true. I'm not always taking kids, but I'm often taking kids. And I have no interest in a heavy kayak. So I'm going to take this down to 16. I kind of know what I can and can't lift. That's still quite a lot of kayaks, right, for me. So if I wanted to narrow that down, I would use this compare table here. I'm just going to get rid of the ones that I had in there before. All right, so you can add as many as you like in here. I'm going to pop that one, pop the Advanced Frame Elite, and I might put the Sport Elite in too. And then when you hit the blue compare button, it shows you all about the kayaks. Now, before the filter was about us, this is about the kayak. So you can see there is a lot of detail here to work through. But usually by now, you've narrowed it down and the details are what's going to make the difference for you. So this is where you start looking at things like whitewater class. Can you put a propeller on? Can you put rod holders on? Self-bailing, suitable for dogs. The one I was looking at was, where's the weight? Kayak weight. So this is where you go, boy, 12 kilograms for the Sport Elite sounding really good to me. And you might look at things like, oh, this is sit-in. So these two are sit-in kayaks. That means I'm going to stay dry or stay drier. But within these two, if you go down to a bit more detail, where's the compatible with the spray skirt? The Advanced Frame Elite is compatible with the spray skirt. Sport Elite's not. So although it's sit-in, the cockpit's oversized, so you can't put a spray skirt on. So you can imagine we sell to a lot of customers in Tasmania and Melbourne, Advanced Frame Elite all the way, because they want to stay warm and dry. Quest Solo and Odyssey Solo, fantastic kayaks, but you're probably going to get a bit wet, right? So you might go through and go, yep, all right, I like the look of the Advanced Frame Elite. Now you want to click in, and there's obviously I would love it if you read everything on this page. Definitely watch the video. The video has a lot of details covered very quickly. Why this kayak is handy, but the thing you really want to look at is who is this kayak not for? We have gone to the to lengths to make sure you do not buy a kayak that is not suitable for you. It's not. I do not want that for anybody, right? So go through, have a look at this. It's basically saying if you're really tall, you're not going to fit. If you are doing whitewater above class 2, you want to probably go look at the straight edge. Go down, have a look at the specs. That's all of those details again. The comparisons are where we compare similar kayaks. We get a lot of people ask us what's the difference between the Sport Elite and the Advanced Frame Elite. And setup. Do not buy the kayak without watching the setup video. They're all pretty straightforward except for, I'll show you the ones that are a little more complicated in the solo range. But I still want you to feel comfortable knowing you can do it. The ones that are a little longer, and you'll see setup time in the compare table, are these two. The high performance, really narrow ones just have either a few more steps or a bit longer to set up than the rest. You certainly want to get yourself an electric pump for all of them. Now, let's say you're still confused. That's okay. It's a big decision. We want you to get it right. Just get in touch. So there's a contact form here where you can write to us. Height and weight, definitely put that in, and then any other information you want to give us, or give us a call. We actually answer our phone, and when we can't, when we're on another call, we always check our voicemail. So please leave a voicemail. I hope this helps. I'm looking forward to getting you into an awesome solo kayak. If you have any questions, get in touch. This is Emily at Oz Inflatable Kayaks.